Alright, look, TaeJa's good. So good that we're breaking it down. You know what I'm saying? In part 1, we established the biomine of old. In part 2, we talked about the opening and the mid-game movement of the new. How the opening didn't rely on Widow Mines for defense, and how in the mid-game we're doing a lot more boost retreats, and there's a lot more of these surgical strikes from TaeJa. We're going to see another one of these surgical strikes getting kicked into gear as well here. A big difference that we will also note, starting to emerge here, is the danger of when the Mutaflot gets too huge. When the Mutalisks start to be able to actually apply pressure at our bases. Now, why would this be the case? Because we're not doing a never-ending stream of biomine anymore. We're doing strikes and then retreats and strikes and retreats. So the Mutalisks have clear opportunities to attack us. Bless me. So, for instance, if we're jettisoning back to our expo, he can easily counter with mutas at ours. So we start to see Thor has become a key point of integration into our army. Doink. And we'll yet again see sort of similar themes from TaeJa. He is not scared at all to pull back. Remember, he's doing strikes, primarily trying to lock a Zerg player out of 4 bases. And even when he can't quite do that, and hopefully I'll be able to do a second part on TaeJa once I get those live TaeJa games. Even when he can't do that, can't lock his opponent out of the 4th, we still see a lot of this sort of thing. Darting forward, getting mines into position. I'd like you to look at the way the mines are laid out. In a line. It's a mine line. Let's take a look at the marine count. It's not small. Here we can see that there are clearly 24, 32. Clearly there's 39 Marines here. So it's not small. But we got a mine line. Let's watch this in order. Not really the big spread that we would see Polt do. Not like 2 guys here and 3 there and 4 here and 6 over here and, you know, like, ooh, spreading out everywhere. No, no, no. Most of the units are within firing range. And in case of emergency, we retreat over the mines and boost out over the mines. A little bit of spreading, but not huge peeling apart in every which way. Here's the cluster. And here's a good opportunity to potentially do a big retreat. There was a huge hit. The crushed. I want to rewatch that battle a little bit more in slow motion, and I think I'm actually going to have to, like... How do we go just a tick or 2 down? There we go. Hello, Mutaflock. Look at how this is just, like, one group. So, I'm going to begin stepping forward a little bit. What's a good angle on this? Okay. We see here's one blast that's about to go off. Because we got a little mine line here. And there's a small troop of Marines. See these guys here? This is just the usual good control that we'll see. A player will retreat with most of his stuff and leave a small suicide force at the front lines to get killed. I'm sort of stutter-stepping through this. But notice how there's still not a tremendous spread from TaeJa. He's not really breaking everything up. He wants as many of these units firing as humanly possible. What's actually kind of hard to see here is this. See that? That rocket there? That's actually a mine rocket that's about to collide here. So let's see if we can... There was the explosion. This is actually... God, these graphics are actually really good. Holy crap. This is actually the explosion from a mine connection that just went off. This second one is an explosion from banelings accidentally hitting the mines. Because the Overseers can see them now. But still, notice how fearless TaeJa is. Right as I say fearless, I do a zoomed-in retreat. Alright, let's pull back and watch it just one more time. Because it's not extremely difficult to control this way. Got nowhere to go. So you'll see that the way that... crap, I missed it. There's two steps here. First, the way that TaeJa is going to be able to retreat this whole army is that this is Control Group 2. See, I'm clicking here. This secondary force hasn't been added to the control group yet, which seems kind of weird. Normally, what you do is you say, you click Control Group 2, you hold your Shift button, and then you add these, and then you hit Control 2 again to reassign. But TaeJa rarely adds things to this control group until they have literally physically joined the army. So watch this. This army that is still not part of Control Group 2, see these guys up here? Still not part of Control Group 2. He stims these, and then he just runs through them. It's very easy to then suddenly retreat with everything else if TaeJa needs to. These guys in the middle are still not part of Control Group 2 that I'm clicking on repeatedly. So this is actually really easy to control, and then all of a sudden when TaeJa wants to do another retreat, he hits Control, clicks on his Marines, and then clicks backwards. So I'm kind of pausing and unpausing to show that these Marauders are sitting still. It's just a Control click on the Marines. And almost all the Marines are still firing the whole time. Huge cluster. Yeah, you like that loud clicking? So you can know what's up. Now, the 7 mines is somewhat deceptive because we see that there's 2 mines. Oops. There's 2 mines over here for defense. 2 mines are back here at the rally, but if I start clicking around, look, there's 2 over here that were never even part of the fight. 2 that were up here that will never be part of the fight. 2 more coming in from the rally. There's actually only 1 mine that's really part of the fight. And TaeJa does this drop that I'm literally not going to analyze because that's not the focus of the show. Suffice to say that if you are doing huge game-ending pressure pushes, like a 55 Marine push, drops are a lot stronger. If you're doing the never-ending story pushes, you're gonna want all your Marines at the front line. Now this was obviously very lucky from TaeJa, but with great luck comes great responsibility to go fucking kill your enemy. Yeah, the mines worked. 1 lucky shot of the Banelings is often all that you really need. Or excuse me, 1 lucky shot of the Widow Mines is generally all that you need. So here, we see that TaeJa just control-clicked to retreat these dudes. Relatively easy retreat. Not a tremendously huge amount of splitting and spreading. Now that was, I think, a misclick. This is the moment that kind of evened up the game. And obviously controlling against Banelings is hard, but I think all of you saw it the same way that I just witnessed it. Which is that some right-click forward happened for TaeJa. Because when I first watched this game, I was like, well, isn't this clustering going to result in a catastrophe? Well, generally not, as it turns out. Unless, of course, you accidentally move command all your units to here. Here's the move command forward to the left. You see how he's move commanding inward? So whatever you do, don't move command into Banelings. I don't know if that's a useful analysis, but I just want to make sure that you know it was a mistake that TaeJa made walking forward. It's very easy to look at this clustered style and say, oh yeah, he's going to have 1 hit and then he's dead. And then that happens, and you're like, see, that's why you have to spread it out like the old school biomine. But trust me, if you just play and do simple micro maneuvers like TaeJa, as long as you don't do a catastrophic misclick, you're going to be okay. This was just a catastrophic misclick. Ah, the water's so good. Maybe I'll go get ramen tonight, or maybe I'll get sushi. I don't even know. I'm insane. Okay, so let's see if we can identify some similarities here from in this sort of post-game ending state. Oh, I mean, there was a drop, and it killed off a negligible amount of workers. TaeJa's been getting reamed on the worker front, but his worker production's so boss, he doesn't give a damn. So we see this same sort of theme, a strike force with a couple of mines. And when the going gets tough, TaeJa will load up and get going. But a Thor allows him to have a lot more staying power in these fights. Like, a lot more staying power. The Thors were originally used to combat the Giganto Mutaflox. If things get rough, TaeJa's just gonna load up and jettison his butt back here.
Mineral field depleted.
Interestingly, what are we seeing? It looks kind of like... Oh yeah, a lot like that game that we saw out of Pult, where Pult rallied to the front. Why is TaeJa rallying to the front now, and he wasn't before? It's just the Thor. The Thor has just so much ability to absorb hits, and it's really slow and hard to retreat. Like this moment, where we see the boost. We see a usual sort of biomine, spread, split, that sort of thing. TaeJa's still staying kind of clustered, and will still do the retreat all the way back home, but notice how easy it is for TaeJa's line to get broken now that that Thor is gone. Thors just have so much ability to hold the front. So here to the front. Where's the other Thor? I think there's no Thors there yet. Okay. It's not there's no Thor. We see TaeJa more than willing to return back to his more usual load up and retreat if needs be kind of thing. Such as right there. But I think the most notable thing that we're seeing consistently out of TaeJa is how bunched up his stuff is. Even this moment is a great example of why the more traditional biomine play is so weak. Because it's very easy for TaeJa to get whittled down. I shouldn't say it's so weak. It's obviously still really good, but I should say not as strong. So yeah, we see TaeJa just doing little lift and runs. A little lift and goes. I don't really want to do any more analysis. I think I've beat the horse dead. And then, like, exhumed him and then beat the corpse again. Poor horse. Alright, cool. Strike team again. We got a big strike force. What's the big anchor to this? The Thor. What do you know? Moving forward. Killing it off. Retreating. Getting more units. Loading up. Pulling back. Regrouping. No endless push. Shut up. God, dude, his girl Friday is like the most insane movie I've ever seen. It's so good. Big force, not any spreading, just one aim delightfully. Again, 8 mines in this battle. There are 4. Not much more than that. We got some mines over here. We got some more mines peppering this other. It appears that my shit has died. Or perhaps my shit, it functions... Oh, there it is, we're back! Yeah! Got nowhere to go, Let's take our questions, oh, whoa. Exit BattleNet. Let's go ahead. Subscribe us off. Tomorrow we will have the first ever Hearthstone Daily, where I, not an expert in card games at all, will do a try-hard episode. Hopefully we'll see a deck that's pretty fun. I'm not an arena man. I'd love me some constructed. I'm going to be doing those once a week on Wednesdays. This Friday, I'm going to be playing Starbound. I've got the beta. It's going to be quite fucking excellent there. What was the song I was playing? It's called A Song About the End by Blue Sky Black Death. Crazy Chris 576, good to see you. Crazy Chris brought the boss signs to the Red Bull Battlegrounds. Day 9, why has Banshee Harass become so infrequently used now? Do you think the Banshee Harass will return now the Widow Mine nerf is in full force? So it depends on what you mean. I think that we will see more Banshees because of the Widow Mine nerf, but not in a harassing capacity. More of a push the front, defend my front sort of thing. And the reason we don't really see it in harass very often is I'll divide it into two phases. Once layer tech is up and running, and all the time before then. Once layer tech is up and running, it's pretty clear that the Banshees are going to just suck a lot of ass. You have Overseers, you have Mutalisks, Banshees are slow, they're going to get thumped. So, okay, so why in the early game, why don't we get more Banshee Harass there? Most people are leery of getting the Banshee Harass up early on because, for one, it interrupts our other plans. If we're investing in Banshees, we're not investing in building up barracks or building up upgrades, that sort of things. It delays all that stuff. And even worse, Banshees don't integrate nicely at all. Like, if we go for Hellions with a reactor on the factory, that factory is going to be used later to build mines. That reactor can be used on a barracks to build Marines. If you invest in, like, Banshees with Cloak, you have a tech lab that, yeah, can be used by other things, but the Cloak is exclusively for the Banshee. The Starport is not a desperately needed early function for Terran. I mean, you can get early medevacs or later Starport for later medevacs and still fine. So it just doesn't integrate well into anything else. I mean, maybe, like, I think that it would be cool if someone did something like a Hellion Banshee into mech, where the mech was still using the Starport for Banshee production. But that's literally never going to happen because mech's awful. No, maybe it could. I don't know. I don't really see a lot of people experimenting with mech. That's kind of why. And so you might say, well, it'll do damage. Most Zergs are just good at withstanding the damage of that. I don't know. You know, Fear Dragon brings up the Ling Hydra that we just, like, don't really see. You know, Hydras are, like, probably the least explored unit in Zerg vs. Terran. I'm trying to think if there's anyone that is as unexplored as that. And it's not without merit either. I mean, Stefano for a while was absolutely destroying nerds with Roach Hydra. But I actually have absolutely no idea. I did see for a while that there were people using Ling Hydra Baneling. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, Hydra's... I mean, my intuition tells me that Hydras just cost too much, and... Like, I mean, if you just say that Vespene gas converted to minerals, it's like 150 resources for a Hydra and like 50 for a Marine. So I would assume that the Marines just thump your head. I think there's not a lot of research into Terran at the moment. Terran vs. Zerg. God, my hand just hurts. Ah. Let's take one more. My hand hurts really bad, like these 3 fingers. And I know that's like just like classic classic RSI stuffs, but just don't want to be at a computer anymore. Great question by Umbraventi, which is not a grande umbra, but a venti umbra. Do you think we'll start seeing more tanks, or we'll continue to see Widowmine play, or perhaps a fusion of both? For an example of how to use tanks like a kick-ass, badass, look at Bomber. Look at him! Blizzard has released the replays from WCS for Bomber, so you can just access those at starcraft2.com/WCS. But, again, starcraft2.com/WCS. Just fantastic usage of tanks. Not like massing the tanks, but definitely opening with them and sometimes utilizing them to do nice timing pushes. The reason why people are still going Biomine, the main one, is that it used to be way good. Like, clearly the best Terran strategy. And so Terrans are naturally, once things have sort of passed the Widowmine nerf, they're not going to say, well, let me abandon all the knowledge I have and create something new. They're going to say, well, how can I still make this thing work? Can I still make this thing work? Let me try. And that's why we're seeing some tweaks, but not a global change yet. I would probably estimate that within 3 months, we'll see a global change in Terran vs. Zerg, like a huge shift, where we'll start seeing big numbers of like Hellbats used across the matchup. Possibly mech, but obviously people don't think that mech's very good. But I do think we'll see one. Probably the tank will be the starting point. And with that, I'm done. I'll see you tomorrow for Hearthstone's Daily. Have yourself a wonderful Tuesday evening. I'm gonna go get food. Show's done. Let's listen to that song again. I love that song.